All right. Well, so proud to be here with you, Kenny, and thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes and discussing this with me. But if you could, just to kind of kickstart this off, could you just introduce yourself, kind of indicate where you are, how long you've been in business as a franchise owner, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, yeah, Kenny Spence, located in the Roanoke and Blacksburg, Virginia market areas, Southwest Virginia, and we started in May of 2022. So we've been in business just about 18 months, and getting some financing and different things going in the market. So, good things to share.
Excellent. Well, that is the topic of the day is financing. And we're really trying to sort of understand some of the perspectives of various franchise owners across the network. And I know that you are one who is very strategic in the manner in which you have taken advantage of some of the customer financing options that we have in our FCI network. Can you just talk a little bit about kind of your overall perspective on how you are utilizing those resources, maybe a couple that you have used or are using, and sort of how you go about that tactically and when you introduce the idea of financing to your customer relationships.
Yep, sure. So from the financial side, we always introduce that in to our final options of being, from the closing side, when you get to, payment options, it's the perfect time to introduce that customer to, here's one final option for you, and it has become a very successful option for us because we have taken advantage of the 0% interest on 12 months through Advantial. It has been in all intents and purposes, a game changer for us. In years past, the finance option was just sort of like something we are just, throwing out there, but now it's almost like it's a normal closing option for us. And we have taken complete advantage of that because we have had a lot of customers extremely receptive to that. And so much as that, it has increased our close rate tremendously. It has made the closing process a lot easier. Customers have been more receptive to that than about anything we've done in the past. So we have jumped on board. We have taken full advantage of that. And so much as that, the process that we've used in the past were a little more cumbersome, time consuming, and when we were exposed to Advantial, we sort of had our radars up, was expecting a lot of the same kind of stuff, but we were really surprised that the process was very smooth, very efficient, and very effective for both sides.
Excellent. Financing is an interesting thing because so often people perceive that offering financing is sort of an indicator of, well, you couldn't afford this otherwise, when quite, the opposite is usually true. I mean, the option of financing is what sophisticated people utilize. And so, the fact that you're able to introduce it in that manner, curious, have you seen it affect, your average job size, some of the perspectives or maybe the customers that you are seeing use financing? I have to imagine might have been a little different than what you expected, but now that you have this option, it's opening up a whole nother arena of customers for consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had several situations where upon the close, customers would have made decisions that they may have done part of the project, but not all the project. And one most recently, we had a homeowner that was very interested in doing pretty much the whole entire house, but they were going to leave the kitchen and bathroom out just because they didn't think that the cost was going to be something they could fit in their budget. And after introducing the 0% interest on the financing side, they were just gung ho, and just a matter of having that conversation, it opened that door. And at the end result of it all, after we finished the project, I think we had a much happier customer because even though we love repeat customers, it's nice when you can go in and do the whole project and get the whole project done at one time. So for the customer side, they were a whole lot happier. But there are times when customers will be a little bit more reserved on the money on the budget side and not really let that go. But I think when you open that door to where they can actually have the whole entire project done, or maybe add more to the project than what they expected, it really does, put their ears up and really gets their attention to what, might be able to make this project or this process happen for them.
It's a great point. Great case example. You brought a true solution to the customer, and as a result, you ended up with a superior job. So, and a superior project. Are there ever times when, just based on your initial setup call or, early on in dialogue, where you feel like introducing the concept or the opportunity for financing is relevant then, even maybe before you get to the house? Do you ever experience those opportunities, and what has been the sort of
Yeah.
the temperature of when you've done that?
Yeah, actually, what we have done is through myself and the office manager on our initial calls, we have even sort of put a plug, if you want to call it that, to the
Hmm.
customer that, hey, we also have some great new financing options that are available right now, and just make sure that, Kenny or the DA has an opportunity to share that with you. So that way it sort of, puts it out there. So it's not really um, a big surprise, but when you do bring it up, hopefully it just triggers again to remind them, oh, that's what they were talking about. So we use that effectively in that regard. And I'll just say too that being from a family that has a financing background, my mother was in banking for 40 years. I think it's ironic that there are times when people get really prejudged into financing because you have people that think, well, this person may not be able to afford the finance or afford the project that needs financing. And then others that you think, oh, there's no way that they really want financing here. And it's ironic because if you really sell the whole entire process correctly, people that understand financing are going to be more apt to use that when they don't need to because they understand financing. And with that being the case, it's simple to say it's a whole lot easier to use somebody else's money than use your own. And any smart financial advisor will tell you that. So a lot of times when I go into a project, I don't prejudge anything. That is just part of the process. Even if they close before I even get to that point, I still make that an opportunity to open that door because you just do not know which customer is going to be the one that's going to be really excited about having that opportunity. And the beauty of all that, beyond the fact that you get the close, is that with the new system with the portal, you can have the portal set up to where everything can be direct deposited into your personal banking accounts for business, and you're paid up front for the whole entire project. So there's nothing better than going doing a project and you're already paid in full for it before you can get started. So that sort of takes away that last walk through where you're trying to make sure that you have a check before you walk out the door. It takes all the stress of that away. So it's a much more relaxed atmosphere at that point too.
This new opportunity with Advantial, and even some of the previous options that we have, I mean, it really does set up a win-win, scenario for everybody. So, kind of
Absolutely.
last question would be, if you could give some advisement or some coaching, if you will, to some new franchise owners that are, really just coming into the network, that are out obviously learning a lot about the process, trying to work very hard about getting, initial closing, and how could they use, or should they be using, financing as something that could really help their success early on to start, building on that.
Well, definitely make sure that you have the flyer in your bag with you before you walk through the door because
Hmm.
Advantage will provide this to you personally for each you know franchise owner to have it set up for you to hand right to the customer at the point of sale. That is huge because it doesn't just bring a conversation about, but it brings a little bit more of a credibility to us that not only do we have to talk about it, but we can provide you a quick brochure that shows you everything you need to know about this process. I love that because it does create a environment that it takes it sort of away from me trying to pitch it to actually you seeing it. And of course anything that somebody can touch and feel is going to make them more comfortable about something than just a hypothetical conversation. Oh yeah, we have financing, it's something that we can try to work out for you. Well, no, hey, let me show you. And I go through that. When I hand that brochure to them, I just sort of take the time to say step, go through that real quick to show them the benefits of it. And of course on the very back there's a QR code that they can use and download, which I don't know if you can see that or not, but it lets everybody be able to see exactly the details of that they can put on their phone and go through that on their own too. So for me, I think that you have to be prepared to know when to introduce that process. You have to know the right time, and obviously you don't want to go too fast with that because that could be the one thing that closes the deal for you. So I always sort of hold that to that right moment, which obviously is when you start getting into that process of talking payment. So be very reserved in how you use that process because it could make a difference in your closing rates and closing processes in general. But lastly is just don't prejudge. It's a tool that can be used for anybody. So when you go into a customer situation, make sure, just like you present the company story, make sure it's part of your every conversation with the customer. It just becomes more of a habit when you get to that point, and it becomes more comfortable every time you do it. So, just a process of like anything else, the more you do it, the more comfortable you come with it, and the more educated you become on it. And I think that for anybody that really is looking to take another step in improving their business, this is definitely a way to increase on all sides. From the close rates to the job size, to all things in general. So I think for people that are looking for something different and looking for something that's very productive and easy to use, you get the portal loaded in, and you can see everything in real time as far as the approval processes, which are done within hours. You can't go wrong. I really believe that it's a win-win all the way across.
Well, Kenny, this has been fantastic. I appreciate your experience in this. You're sharing sort of your insights and the way you utilize this. I think it's going to be beneficial for a lot of people. So continued success with Advantial and building your business in general. And thanks for taking a few minutes and doing this today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks again.